Welcome to Med Sales Newbie, the podcast that explores what it takes to break into the ultra-competitive world of medical sales. Now with your host, Brendan Thomas.
Hey guys, on this week's episode of Med Sales Newbie, we sit down with Jason Mellman. Jason graduated from the coveted University of Central Florida and has been in the medical sales industry since 2012. Jason has worked with the finest medical devices companies and joins us today to share industry metrics and insights into his journey into the world of medical sales. If you'd like to reach out to Jason or get some more information, you can reach out to him on LinkedIn. Just search Jason Mellman. Jason is an old friend of mine, so this podcast was extra special to me. I hope you guys enjoy this one as much as I did. So let's sit back, take notes, and learn something today on Med Sales Newbie. We are live. So first off, Jason, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to join us today on Med Sales Newbie. I know you got a lot going on and you made time out of your busy schedule, brother. So thank you for that.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. It's always great to talk to you, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, hey, as you know, I'm looking to break into the world of medical sales. I know this industry is hyper competitive, and unless you've graduated with a particular degree and or entered the medical sales community right out of college, it's very hard to break into this industry, much less transition years into your career. So what I wanted to do was to reach out to those who've been in the industry and get their perspective on their experiences and what a first-timer can expect breaking into this industry. What I did was I reached out to my network. I had great conversations, and I realized how valuable the information I was gathering was. And I wanted to share it with the masses. So I created a podcast that can be used as a resource for those considering this industry, and with some helpful insight, shed some light on what I can expect breaking into this industry. So with that being said, Jason, I'll let you have the floor, man. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your current role, and how you got started in medical sales.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to answer that. And first say, this is awesome. I really love what you're doing. I remember, when I was trying to break into the industry and just learn more about it. And I think some of the things we'll talk about today really focuses on just learning about this industry. So for you to put together and collect all that information from all these resources that you've talked to and put it together something standardized that everyone can listen to at any time of their day, I think it's really great. So kudos to you for doing it. I've never been invited on any other one. So you're definitely doing something right here.
I appreciate that, Jason.
No, it's good stuff. But I did want to share that. So I'll get started. A little bit about me. Yes, definitely a busy time. Just had a baby about 2 months ago. So our first.
Congrats, my man.
Got to give a shout out to him. So trying to do the parenting and med sales device balancing, and it's going great. So we're really lucky. He's a great dude. And he works with dad some days in the office. So we love that.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. But a little bit about me. So I've been in sales for probably about 10 years now it's coming up on. And I was actually part of a professional selling program my final year at UCF. And that really helped me develop some of the sales skills, experience, and really just a good network. And since I graduated, I've worked in the biologic field with stem cell therapies. That was actually with a very small company. I worked for Thermo Fisher, one of the best companies in the world, in their biosciences division. And really shout out to them. Probably see them on the news for everything that they're doing during this time, COVID related. It's really incredible to see some of my previous colleagues that I worked with so closely. They're at the White House and they're really making a difference. So I really had a great 5 years with them. And now I do work for the best company in the world. That's no bias there. And that's Stryker. I represent the sustainability division. And it's such an awesome division with such an awesome mission that's really making healthcare better. What we do is we take single-use medical devices, we keep them away from landfills by reprocessing and manufacturing them, to be able to deliver them back to the hospitals that we collect these at a lower cost, so these hospitals can stay financially and environmentally responsible. So a couple fun facts. Healthcare is the second largest contributor to waste outside of the food industry. So be able to shrink the environmental footprint at these hospitals is very important. And then cost savings. What is it looking for cost savings in any industry these days? Our programs in 2018 actually saved hospitals over $330 million in supply costs. So what hospitals can do with that is they can improve their technology, they can hire more staff, they can bring more education and anything they need to operate more efficiently for their customers, of course, too. So it's a really unique division with a great mission and a great purpose.
That's absolutely fantastic, Jason. And to your point, too, I think with all of the hospitals being affected with COVID, a lot of people are not choosing to do elective surgeries. The profits are down. So if you certainly focus a lot of what you guys are accomplishing on getting tighter with the margins and just keeping an eye on your budgeting, you do have more money you can get through this unfortunate time, but you have more money to allocate to ancillary resources.
Yep. Anything to help improve their staff, whether it's for the nurses, whether it's for something for patient outcomes, if you can bring them that cost savings. And hospitals already operate at such a small margin, just like obviously some of these medical device companies too. So any way you can cut costs is definitely always going to be something that they're open for. So it's been just over a year. I believe it started, it was like last February, last March, so coming up on a year and a half. And it's been really great.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, I know Stryker is one of the upper echelons of medical sales companies, and they're certainly doing great things. So kudos to you for landing a job with Stryker.
Yeah, thank you, man. I've kind of always been in the healthcare space. So, but Stryker, I'll say with this job is my first true medical device job. And I really would say that I got started in the device space though and learning about it, because that's the most important thing is starting to learn about it. Was that, my final year at UCF, I found a mentor that was in medical sales, and I used to talk with them a lot, work with them a lot. We did a bunch of job shadows, and I just really loved the interaction that he had with the doctors and the staff. I could see that it was very rewarding to him, just the way he was supporting. And I just personally always had such amazing respect for anyone in healthcare. So really be able to partner with them is special and something I always wanted to do. I have a lot of friends that are nurses, that are doctors, hospital administration, and they do such great work. So that's really where my journey started, was getting exposure from all sides, whether it's from seeing my buddy go through residencies and stuff like that and med school, or whether it's working with my mentor and talking to them. And that's where I was able to start seeing if it was really fit for me.
That's fantastic. Yeah, kind of dipping your toes in the water, if you will.
Yeah.
So tell me, parlaying off of that, dipping your toes in the water, for somebody that would be considering the medical sales industry, in your mind, who would be the right candidate for medical sales? What traits or characteristics would one possess?
Yeah, well, first off the bat, any trait that you have, by the way, Brendan, that's what
I appreciate you blowing me up. You hear that?
That's some of the most important ones. No, but seriously, it's like any other job. That's the one thing about medical device. Like, don't overthink it. I'd always say it's really like any job. Your employer wants to find the right fit. So you got to be yourself. That's most important, more than anything, because these are competitive companies, the Strykers, the Medtronics, the Johnson & Johnsons. They have really good hiring managers, and they're going to see right through that if you're not yourself. So always show up to the interview and don't do anything you wouldn't normally do. Of course, you got to try things to separate yourself and try to impress them, but just stay true to who you are and what your traits are. That's most important. But they really do look for, are you competitive, right? It's a very competitive industry, and they want to look for past success, whether it's in med devices or not. They just want you to have success in your roles. And really, they want to find people that want to work hard. This is a grind. Don't forget that. It's not all yachts and stuff like that. It's definitely a hard day. You're customer facing all day long. Come home, you catch up on your emails all night, then you go to bed. You can't sleep because you're thinking about that big meeting the next day. So like any other job, and whether it's an accountant or a lawyer or a banker, it's not for everybody. This is not for everyone too. So they want to really make sure it's the right fit. So some of those are very important. And they're looking for people that are good on their toes. So be prepared in these interviews for random questions, situational questions, and having confidence, to be able to address those. Really, they want to find people that are prepared. Come prepared to your interviews. Always be prepared. Go the extra mile. That's what they really want to see. And I was recently on a call where I heard this Abe Lincoln quote, which states, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe," right? And that's all about preparation and making sure you're spending your time sharpening your axe, which here would be preparing for the interview, than the actual interview. Because when you show up to an interview and you're not prepared, and they ask you a couple of questions about the company, whether it's the visions that they have, what products would you be selling, and you don't have an answer, that's it. That just kills you right there. So they want to show people that work hard, put in the extra effort, and really show that they're prepared and that they want this job. When it comes to the traits, there's thousands of medical sales professionals in the world. So every trait known to man is covered. So it's really more important that you know what traits, the best traits that you have, and then try to tie them into the current role that you're interviewing for to show that you can be successful.
Absolutely. No. And I think that was a great answer. I've done door-to-door sales. I've done B2B sales. I've done B2C sales. And it's struck in me that medical sales really takes a quick on your feet thinker to your point earlier. And I think it's just somebody that has all the attributes of a great personality, of organization, of preparedness, but who's also willing to go the extra mile in research, not only their competition, but who exactly they're selling to. They can identify market trends. They can look at areas where they can save the doctor, the hospital, X amount of dollars. So it's not just a direct, hey, I'm going to sell you this product. It's more of an enterprise sale. And I think to your point, encompassing a lot of preparedness will complement you well in this industry.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just, it's really to show up for these job interviews without doing your homework beforehand. And I just love that quote because it says, all right, if he's going to chop down a tree for 6 hours, 4 of it is sharpening his axe because, hey, if he's chopping for 6 hours and his axe isn't sharpened, then he's not going to reach his goal. So that's so important. And it really shows a lot about all your traits when you do come prepared for these interviews.
So work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. Hey, work smart and work hard.
You're exactly right. Moving on, what career path or product would you encourage first-time sales reps to begin their career with, and why?
Yeah. Hey, you're coming with the most important questions. I love it. So me,
Stroke my ego, make me feel great, Jason. I love having you on as a guest.
Hey, this is personal though, right? Because it just like you asked about what traits are employers looking for out of it, who they're interviewing. You got to figure out what traits you're looking for out of this job. You have to make sure you're going to be interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. I really think the only thing worse than not getting a job is getting a job that's not a good fit for you. It's kind of like a bad relationship. So just waste your time. Doesn't look good on your resume. So I always come with a lot of questions about the culture, the team, the territory, the customers, my manager, the products, even the competition. And that's how you're really going to learn if it's a fit for you, depending on if it's this type of division or this type of capital or this or that. And a little example is before I took this job as Stryker, I passed up a job with one of our top competitors. And I won't share the name, but they are one of the best medical device companies out there as well with Stryker. And this was a company I always wanted to work for. I never thought in a million years I'd ever pass up a job from this company. But as I showed up for the interviews, I started asking these questions and the answers weren't good, right? I could tell they didn't have the top-down support. They weren't differentiating from their competitors. And let's just say they had some fundamental flaws, we'll say. So I even asked for a job shadow and got to learn even more and validate what I had thought with the rep. And it was just very important that I actually discovered that and said no. As I did work my way farther into the interview, I pulled myself out before I got the offer, but I was getting very close. And that could have really changed my life because now that I'm in the industry, I have experience with Stryker. I actually look back and, okay, all those things I was looking for. Yeah, that's a really important thing. So before you start thinking about like what exact area I want to get into, be open-minded, right? Because you might never think you end up selling this type of equipment, but as you learn more about what sets them apart, your territory, your customers, that might end up being such a big fit for you. That's something you really want to consider.
And I think that's great. I think going into a job interview or considering a company without a limited focus, just keep your options open. And I would imagine that a lot of these medical device companies have a number of products that are right for the salesman to sell. So if you go in there with an open mind and be very meticulous, and it takes a lot of discipline, but don't just jump at the first opportunity. Do your due diligence, go through the hiring and interviewing process and see if it's a right fit for you. And once you join that company and it's a right culture fit and your visions align, I think then the product will come.
Yeah, and it's so true. And there's really so much out there. You just be surprised who reaches out to you, especially as you start, reaching out to recruiters and stuff and what opportunities come across your plate. There's so many procedures and so many things that happens every day at these hospitals. So there's these unique products that you might have never heard of because you just never discovered them before until this interview lands on your desk and you say, okay, this is really exciting. So, but give you also a direct answer there. When it comes to like capital versus disposables, you do still got to think about the times we're in right now. In the COVID times, things are very different. And as people listen to this podcast, I'm sure we're still going to be in these COVID times. And even after we get immunizations and stuff like that comes out, hospitals are still going to be recovering from this for quite a bit. So you really need to understand that when you're evaluating these job opportunities and what's going to be a good fit. Because right now, and as we sit today, and it could change at any moment, hospitals, they really need cost savings and they really need process improvement products more than anything. So if you're interviewing for a job that's a newer technology, it really better be a technology that's essential or has an improvement on patient outcomes because budgets are just stressed so thin. So really be open in that conversation. Ask them. Ask who you're working in and interviewing with how business is looking now during these times and what's their projections for the rest of this year and the future, and how are they going to change? Because Stryker, I'll tell you right now, we're changing. I mean, we're adapting the way that we're working and providing value to our customers, whether it's more virtually or just with different product offerings. So take in mind, we're in COVID times, so you got to take a different approach to some of these job interviews.
That's a very great point that you make. We are in the midst of, for one of our lifetimes, first ever pandemic. And a lot of people are not going through with elective surgery. So you might not want to jump immediately at an elective product to sell. Whereas if you were to focus more on a product that is absolutely necessary, that's absolutely essential, I think that there's a lot of longevity there and there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah.
So moving on, for someone trying to break into the industry, what advice would you give that could help someone get their foot in the door or just make them stand out among their peers?
Man, I guess I got to keep answering these with plugs for you, but I mean, you got to listen to podcasts religiously, right? That's got to be the number one thing that the advice I'm giving is the podcast. So
I appreciate that.
Right?
Shout out to Jamie Tipton on Med Device Unleashed as well. He's one of the ones that got me started on this. Great podcast.
This is really cool because some of the advice I'll give is probably all put together into some of these answers in these podcasts as you're interviewing different professionals and getting different feedback. It's so important to get different feedback from different people, right? So definitely reach out, start making connections. So for me, and I know we talked about this on the phone when we talked the other week, I always use LinkedIn, right? If I was in a position for a job interview and I worked with the recruiter, before I even met with the hiring manager, or as quickly as I could, I would find reps in the division on LinkedIn and reach out to them right before the interview. And I even reach out to people in the company as well, just starting to develop a network, starting to learn more about these companies from a perspective of the reps that are working for them, right? These, you can learn about the manager, you can learn about the products, you can learn about the role, and you just get more information that will make you more prepared, as we just talked about, and just put you in a better position. And one of the bonuses too is if you impress them, and you probably will in some of these conversations, since you're reaching out to them before your interview started, this isn't like a very common practice. They're actually going to reach out to the manager on your behalf without you even asking. So it just puts you in a better position. Even if it's just reaching out to other reps in the industry, if you can't get a hold of a small company or you just can't find people, that's really important. And these days, people are at their home office more. So I think it's easier to reach these people and talk to them. I mean, anyone listening can reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk about my job in the industry. I had to reach out to a lot of people over the years, and I always got great responses. So it really helped me pay it forward. But, just doing your homework, the more you learn, the better. And even if you don't get that job, you'll at least have a head start on the next one. That's the way you set yourself apart, is make all the connections you can and develop your little support system. And you'll see, I mean, some of the people I reached out to, it was just through a message on LinkedIn. Hey, I'm trying to get into the field, trying to get into the company. Just want to learn more about your role. I still talk to them. A couple of them these days, a couple of them really followed me throughout the interview process, were excited for me. Some of them I bumped into in the hospital. Some of them even became competitors, which is actually really funny as well when that happens. But it's really important. It's just a great tip and just such an easy thing to do. Just reaching out on LinkedIn and asking for these conversations, whether it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be long, but definitely come prepared. You're going to want to lead that call with the questions you have. You don't really want to show up and expect them to talk about things for the whole time. So there might even be better ways to connect with people nowadays, but LinkedIn was a great way for me to get started.
That's a fantastic point. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're reaching out to your future potential colleagues, you're developing rapport, and who knows, your name could get around the industry, and somebody that may not have posted a job online, it's just all word of mouth. Now you're developing conversations and dialogue with your future peers, and they say, hey, we've got a job opening. I'd love for you to apply. I'll throw your name to a manager. So definitely taking advantage of LinkedIn. It's a phenomenal resource. So to your point, Jason, yeah, network. That's one of the fastest ways to breaking into this industry.
It is. And you can do it. Yeah, you can start now. I mean, that's the best thing about it too. You don't have to wait for this meeting or that meeting. You can hop on the computer, pull up your LinkedIn and get started.
That's fantastic. So last one, I'll leave you with a little funny story. I've been reaching out to a lot of other medical professionals. Shout out to Jordan Chase. Like I said, Jamie Tipton, Med Device Unleashed. They shared with me a few of their experiences dealing with other candidates, funny, unique things that potential hires have done just to kind of not only get their foot in the door, but to also kind of get an interview. What is the funniest, most unique or creative thing you've seen someone do to land a job in this industry?
That's good. So, I mean, look, I don't have any crazy stories. It is funny. I want to start talking to some other managers and asking them that question. That's been a lot through the interview process. I have like something that's a little unique and kind of funny I could share with you.
Yeah, go for it.
But yeah, I mean, I can't pass up a chance to tell a funny story if I can. But so when I was interviewing for Thermo Fisher, I'm definitely going to have to send this to the hiring manager. This happened with, because I really still have a great relationship with her. But one thing I did when I showed up to my initial interview, this was the first one. I believe this was a long time ago. So I believe this was my first time talking to her. I think I did the phone screening with HR. So this was just the first conversation we had, but I showed up with like a top 10 list. So it was the top 10 reasons to hire Jason Mellman. And the goal of it was just like an icebreaker, right? It was not even like I was going to, right at the beginning, just say, hey, before we get started, I have a top 10 list. And it's funny, if I had done some of these LinkedIn things and reached out before, because this was so long ago, I would have known that this lady would have loved this type of thing. And she did. The list had a couple of, it was mixed, right? It had some fun things, some serious things. Like, it's pointing out some recent success, and the fun ones even being like my last job never even had to take a sick day. But one of my top ones, I think it was number one or maybe number two, but was that I can cook the best burger that you'll ever have, right? Like around the time where I actually had just picked up cooking as a hobby and was starting to get creative. So she asked me, she's like, hey, what kind of burger is that? Oh, I love burgers. I love food. So I explained, all right, this is what I do. It's different, right? It's not a beef. This is a cilantro salmon burger with an apple chutney. I was making this all the time. For my family, my friends, people were loving it. And it really was delicious, right? And her response was, ew, that's disgusting. I hate salmon. Salmon is disgusting. So I'm like, whoa, I'm stunned, because now this is my top 10 list. One of my top things is that I can cook the best burger, and it's salmon, and she hates salmon. So it just was like just a funny thing that happened. I obviously just we got around it. I started laughing. I told her that, okay, I'm going to convince you that, salmon's okay, because this is cooked in a different, you put it through a food processor. It's not like a filet. Long story short, I ended up getting the job 5 or 6 interviews later, but we always look back.
Did you ever imagine that you would be convincing a hiring manager why salmon is okay on a burger?
Hey, it's funny. I still, to this day, we still laugh about it and talk about that. But it ended up turning into something that we just made a fun conversation with. But I'll just never forget her face. I'm like so excited to say it's a salmon burger, because come on, everyone loves salmon. And she just looks at me.
The grin.
Oh, I hate salmon. So I was like, should I leave now, or what should we do?
I love that. The one reason why they should hire Jason Mellman, and it has nothing to do with the job. And that was kind of the icebreaker that really got you your foot in the door and got you your break.
Yeah, she loves having a good time. Obviously, like I said, there's some serious things on there. I think I made some about the job. I remember one of the funny ones. This was a job in the science field. And I had said that I've been watching, one of the reasons to hire me is I've learned a lot about science over the last couple of months, because I've been watching The Big Bang Theory. So things like that, she really appreciate it. I think it just set the tone for the interview, and we really ended up having a good time. I think that interview really ended up being 3 hours long. And you'll see in some of these interviews, the longer the better, the more natural the conversations can be, the better. And that's what you want too. So I already could tell I had a great rapport with her. She really coached me and taught me a lot of things that I still use today and made me better as a professional.
That's fantastic, Jason. Really fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, man, that's all the questions that I've got. Again, I want to thank you for making time. Where can the listeners find more information on you if they wanted to reach out to you? You want to plug your LinkedIn?
Yeah. No. Let's do LinkedIn. Jason Mellman. I'm sure you share the name on the podcast. Feel free to reach out, connect with me, send me a message. Like I said, I'm more than happy to talk on the phone, learn about what you're looking for, and give you the best advice I can. So,
well, I'll tell you what, Jason, this was fantastic. Absolutely valuable information. That's all I have. I hope the listeners were able to take something very, very insightful away from today's conversation. Thank you again, man. We're all wrapped up here, and have a wonderful day.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good luck to you, man. I'm excited to hear your journey and see where it goes.
Thanks, Jason. Take care, man.
All right. See you later.
Bye.